right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So, welcome to Level Up with Katina talk show with my ambassador, and I call him a true ambassador because that's what he is, Rashad Ali, the creator of the R&B talk show. Rashad has been in this industry since 1996. He is a public figure who continues to take this industry by storm. He has interviewed legends on his show from 2019 to 2025 with 475 interviews and mentions by Essence Magazine, Baller Alert, Ebony, and much more. So without further ado, welcome Rashad to the show.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on here and stuff. I like the intro. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And the thing about it with you is that you have led this industry with the R&B,
Yeah.
the music, and the topic for us today is the trends in the music. So it's kind of like given, and I'm going to go through some questions because I'm curious, and I know the viewers are very curious about number one, how did you get started in this industry?
Yeah, so I got into business. It all started, I was like making design posters and stuff for this school teacher, Miss Savano, and she was a Spanish teacher of mine at the time. And then so my friend Shanika, she was like, hey, my uncle, he needs somebody to make some concert flyers, for some artists. And so her uncle Casey Duncanson, rest in peace, and he saw my work and stuff, and he said, "You did this?" And I said, "Yes, I did this." And I was 14, getting ready to be 15 at the time. So I showed him my work, and of course, be the teenager. You're not old enough to cash your own checks. So
Right.
and I never forget, he paid me $500 worth of cash. And the first thing I thought to myself, like I said, man, like let me go ahead and like buy some clothes, buy some shoes. At the time I had braids. I said, make sure that I look nice and everything. And then so it went from there. So I thought to myself, I said, okay, this just a one-time thing, that's about it. And my mother told me, she said, don't get so, hyped up about it because it may not happen all the time. Then so, he called, he said, hey, can you come through again? So I got another job for you. So around that time I made this promo poster. This is when Genuine just get ready to come out. Pony just came out.
Yeah.
The world haven't caught on to it yet. So when I made this design poster and stuff, and then after that, just took off. And then that's how I got introduced to the business. Watching celebrities and stuff like that. I'm looking like, wow, this is who these people really are. And yeah, since then, it's been Steve for 29 years.
Wow, that is a stench. When you look at the 29 years and you kind of configure, like you said, how you got started, like what ultimately led you to this point of the R&B talk show, of the creation to where you said, you know what, I'm going to take the R&B music, the history of the music, the legacy, and I'm going to bring it into my own vision. So what made you decide to just bring it all together into the talk show?
Yeah, what made me do that? Around like 2015, I took a break, for the business because I was doing hip hop for so long, and then on top
Yeah.
of that, the way rap music was going was changing, and then it was like guys they want to build, and then I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just retire from rap, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do. And one day, I was in the hospital. It's weird how that happened. So, it was August the 30th. I was in the hospital, and I was like, I want to do R&B. And I was like, dang, like I was like, what type of name I should come up with? And then once it clicked, and then I was like, as soon as I heal up, hey, it's go time. And then went from there, grew out the mustache, changed up my look, then,
Yeah.
never looked back. So when I was in the R&B mode, I had to like really talk different from hip hop. So it took me 3 months to kind of like, get this Mr. Soul Effect character Steve rolling. And then since then, just man, unbelievable.
Wow. And so when look at your history and the legends that you've been around and just people you've actually even interviewed that, are starting
Yeah.
off and trending, what would you say was the biggest like inspiration for them? Like what are some of the attributes that you put into them to cause them to just like rocket, like, just like soar in the industry?
You know what? For me, when I create my platform, I thought to myself, like, you know what? There's no black man that got some platform that's actually doing what I'm doing. So I was like, let me take my knowledge, not only to celebrate the legendary artists, but make sure that independent artists, get treated equally. This ain't about how many followers do you have? Do you have a song on the Billboard hits and stuff? Because last time I checked, everything counts. No matter where your songs get played,
Yeah.
get love and everything else, all that counts. So for me, uh, when it came to the independent artists, I noticed some of them, not all, it has brought a change in them. It motivated them to want to create more music, and me giving them, inspiration words. Sometimes the management don't even do. And
Right.
then, and they some of them even send me their songs, say, hey, check this out. Even so, the well knows. But I have noticed too, because with some of them, as far as famous artists, I know they mentioned, they get more shows and stuff. As far as the ones that had like a hot run, but
Hmm.
they never really extended. And I've noticed that a lot of people are engaging and stuff like that. Me acknowledging their history, say, hey, this song was number one, or this song, was sung by this person, but they covered it or whatever. So yeah, and my thing was to correct the history of this music. Because for so long, R&B has been stayed, from like the year 2000 up to this point, So for me, and of course, there's some folks they're not going to acknowledge, who's keeping R&B, hot and stuff. So I
Right.
get that, It's a lot of, kids that has the politics, you can say.
Right, absolutely. And when you look at all of that, when you look at the pieces of the politics, the history, and like where this music, like you said, the rap and where this music is going, like what is your perception? Like what do you see if you look at 2 years from now, 3 years and now, like what do you see that is going to be like the actual trend, like in your mindset? Because you track, you trend, you see the
Yeah.
different aspects of this journey. So what do you think is going to be like the most abundant type of thing that people are going to be looking for?
I think, with half of the younger generation, besides the ones that's been around for so long, they pretty much pay homage to themselves. Because here it is, you got alternative R&B, which is kind of like a neo soul, kind of like a trap soul type of vibe, and then you got artists who keeps that tradition, like jazz, contemporary R&B, quiet storm and stuff. So it started to really, grow. And I'm seeing a lot of people really acknowledging, a lot of good music out there. And I thought to myself, I know that once I do this show, there'll be a Roku, then it will really bring a big change. Because you think about it, every single black artist that's famous that, got music out, only time you might hear from, you might see a concert flyer. You might maybe hear a new song
Right,
every now and then on radio, but you don't
right,
see them on these talk shows and stuff. And plus, that's a lot of white talk shows. And don't fit some of the black talk shows that you don't see, your favorite artist performing. Here it is, like wasted 10
mhm,
minutes to see your favorite artist. They're not even
mhm,
performing under their new
mhm.
records.
Right,
So
right.
so it's a
Mhm.
hit and miss.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Mhm.
was kind of like, well, we need to change all that and for the better. Because it's sad that we live in a time where people are so focused on reality shows. I mean, every time you get on your Instagram and Facebook, you see, half of the black women, getting butthole naked, walking cross
Yeah.
paths, just showing how thick they are. And you see
Yeah.
guys, making these skits and stuff. It's sad that we focus on, that type of junk. And I don't knock nobody's hustle, but I wish we get back to how it used to be. We was growing up where you had Club MTV, Soul Train, American Bandstand, Solid Gold, all these channels. Then we had the Cosby Show, Different World, and all that. So
Right.
where you was comfortable enough to watch with your parents
Right.
compared to now.
Right.
You might have your dad be like, "Hey, man, don't be looking at that stuff." You look around, like, yeah, right, like, damn, she got fat old ass. So it's sad how it gets like that.
But it's the
Compared to
truth.
what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. And do you think it has like changed the culture of what the music is, or do you think it kind of downplays like new upcoming artists or the older
Uh, it
generation
really
or
have now on a mainstream level. It has gotten very saturated,
yeah.
and you got these radio platforms like the Breakfast Club, Power 105, Hot 97. and other platforms, they'll throw it in your face to make you
Yeah.
think that black music is dead. How can it be dead? It's like you turn on your car, you drive it, you go to the grocery store, you at home, you at a birthday party, a family reunion or something. It's always somebody playing. If it's good music that it sounds like how it was back then, or it could be an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. It could be a People Bryson song. Good music never dies. It
Never
just
done.
that
Yeah.
it never dies because it all started 1992 when the corporates and MTV they wanted to kill off music, and that's just so when they brought out the Real World. They said, USA Network, they followed through that same year, got rid of Dance Party USA. A few years later, Video Soul ended and all this other shows and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and that's when you start seeing the whole decline of these artists who has put out music and stuff. So you start seeing the whole shift change. Everybody wants a reality show. And
Right.
it's sad, but I believe that it's gonna come to it now. It's because I put it this way: everything is rumbling. It is all about timing. That's all it is.
I believe so. And that timing, it's like you said, like if you look back, at the older generation of music, and then you have the baby boomers, and you keep moving, it's like they're
Yeah,
taking the older generation trends and they're making it, into something of their own, which is kind of offsetting, the musical outlet of things, which is common. I understand that and I get it. But when you're looking at the trending and when you're looking at like where's this thing taking us, in the future, it's kind of like you toss it up and go, let's see what happens here, because
yeah,
music is always evolving. I mean, it is.
yeah. It's always evolving because regardless what's going on besides like the mainstream TV, as far as music, it still goes on. Like every two,
Yeah,
maybe every 3 or 4 years, it's a different era coming up. It's like you might
absolutely.
have artists that we heard for a while, then boom. Like you look at Charlie Wilson, and I'm tripping on where everybody's found his title. How can R&B dead? This guy got like 10 number one adult R&B hits. Nobody ever talks about that. He got more number one hits than the Gap Band, his own group.
Right, right. And you mentioned someone, I follow you, of course. Tevin Campbell, you touched a little bit on him, which back in
Yeah,
my era, I'm in that generation. But when you talk about the little bits and pieces of like Tevin Campbell and things like that, it was like it had my, like, what, you're absolutely right. They put out all these hits, and then it's like what happened? It's just like,
yeah, because you know
I,
what it is. Some of these celebrities, some of these, bell singers, producers, journalists and stuff, it's like they follow that in clickbait work to be relevant.
yeah,
It's like it's one thing they did something was talking about Can We Talk? It is a great song, but I want people to keep in mind it's not his best number one song of all time. It's
no,
not
it's
his
not.
first number one R&B hit.
No.
I'm like, you mean to tell me that how can y'all skip tomorrow? It was back in 1990.
Right.
How did you skip round and round in 1990? Same year. Another big hit. Just
Right.
ask me to 1991. Tell me what you want me to do. All these other songs, and that's why I post these things to remind people. But his best song ever, and shame on Warner Brothers for doing this because
Uh,
Tevin Campbell, he wanted to be a first single. And I found out, like, was it 30 years later that song, Don't Say Goodbye Girl, was actually about Michael Renata, relationship with his girlfriend at the time. I don't know if they still together or not. I don't know what the dynamics of it, but Tevin sung his heart out. As
yeah.
much Tevin sounded good with Quincy Jones, uh, Al B. Sure, as far as production wise and Babyface, but with Donera, it was like it was a whole different level. Because he didn't tell me what you want me to do. And but when I heard "Don't Say Goodbye," I'm like, "Good Lord, man!" Like
How
I'm
did you
not in a
miss
bad
it?
relationship. I feel like I'm going through it. So, and it's crazy how that song gets appreciated now than it did back
Back
then.
then. Right.
Yeah, stuff. So, but like I said, no offense to Tank, but you know, that was an L right there. I mean, at one part it kept it relevant, but the same thing, if that was me, if I was well known, I would never done that song. If I was a singer, I would done that song and
Yeah.
let it do its thing and stuff. But what I like about One More is that they did do Can We Talk cover. Thank the Lord. So when they did a song along with you, it let viewers know that wow, he had hits. And I'm tripping on is that here I am, I'm 44. How can you sit here and say that you watch music videos all day back in the day? How did you skip 1990 and
Right.
then you focus on 1993? You know, what I mean, how did you do that? You know what I'm saying? It is weird. You know, just say you didn't have cable, or to say you was
Yeah.
outside somewhere playing around as a kid. You know, just I don't know, man. You know, some people's heads being in some type of space they can't get out of. You know, it's crazy.
It is, and it's remarkable. So when you look at like particularly him or other musicians or R&B artists back in the day, do you think like like how they're cultivating the music now that it's bringing some of the old music back into reality, or do you think it's just by coincidence? Like if something hits or they forget about
Yeah.
example Tevin Campbell, are they bringing it back to realize like, oh, we should have mentioned that back then,
Yeah.
and bringing it up now, what is your thoughts on like, are they trending or are they just going with
Well,
what's new?
one thing I like about groups like City Limits, Walmore, Back
Yeah,
Four,
yeah,
they're like a handful of new school artists and they do a lot of song covers. It is not because, like they like their song, but at the same time too, it's like they pay homage to the greats, but also let people know that, there's a lot of good music that's never left. You know, these songs, got played in the household. These songs birthed it me because my parents, fell in love with this song at this
yeah,
moment in their lifetime, and just let people know what's going on. Because you know what, I'm gonna tell you though, it's like majority of the artists I have interviewed, and I always ask them, I say, it doesn't make sense how you was right here, your song was on fire, you want to grab it, also you got dropped like that. Like, what
right,
happened?
right,
And the
absolutely,
corporates, the powers that be, if you're not, kissing the ass and shucking and jiving, then yeah, it's over. It is
really.
sad.
Do you
And that's
see?
why go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you see a lot more of that now than back then, or
I'm seeing more artists, they enjoy their freedom now than they did back then. They enjoy the success, but
yeah?
what came behind it, was just like it's a lot of shenanigans. Because it was like, okay, when I interviewed Alexis Starr, and recipes to oh God, what's it? Yeah, Wade Lewis, and he said that if you didn't have Michael Jackson's attorney and his manager Frank Delia on recipes,
Hmm.
then you pretty much was screwed. The only people that got lucky was him and Janet. Because if you notice though, like okay, with okay, let's say like the Michael Jackson Bad album. He had more videos. He had 9 short film videos than any artist. And,
Wow.
some artists only had one, two.
Two.
Lucky
Yeah.
enough, you might get 3 or 4. But he had 9 videos. So, and I was telling him, I said, why is it every time you guys drop something out, it's like one song does real well, the other song that flops. But Atlantic Records really screwed them in.
Yeah.
And it's sad it's kind of like a hit and miss. And that's what happened to a majority of artists. That's why I say that look at Salt Pepper. Prime example, people don't realize, when you are signed to a mainstream label, they tell you that after 35, 40 years, as long as you're still alive, you get all your copyrights.
Right.
And unfortunately, that Sony, Universal, all that, they find a way to try to screw you. And I hope that they get the copyrights, to them. But yeah, this world is corrupted.
Right. And do you think that's why a lot of independent artists, actually, artists that had signed like with major record label companies went independent because of that reason? Like they weren't getting the royalties,
Yeah.
they wasn't, getting rights to their own music. Like what have you heard in the industry?
Because I think, you know what, with Prince, when he put the run of independence, and then as time went on, you look at it now, it gave a lot of old school artists a chance to rebrand themselves. You'd be like, okay, I know that I don't have my publishing, but I do make money on the road. I own my new music, and I'm fighting to get my old music back. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you got that going on. Um, and then, you got some artists. And one thing I don't understand is too, if you own a publisher of your music, you had no issues. Why are you trying to sell it for? Like, don't you want to pass it down to your kids?
See kids.
That don't make sense though, because
It
like if I
don't.
was
I
a
mean,
famous R&B singer and stuff, something happens to me, I want one of them to be the administrator, say be on my estate. You said that way they can pass it down to their kids, go from there. But being independent is that you can put out more singles, you can shoot up more videos, you can do a whole lot. The only
Yeah.
thing I wish that more legendary artists would do is that when you put a song out, just don't put one video. That's it. Just don't put out one single.
Yeah.
You know, you got all this advantage and stuff. So you put out the whole entire album. You know what I'm saying? You like don't half ass yourself because you get on these platforms, you telling us one thing, but we see the opposite. So
Right.
yeah, some has got a lot lazy, though they mentioned though, but yeah, but be honest with you, yeah, a majority of artists from the 70s and 80s and 90s, they don't want to go back to silent labels. I don't blame them.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to be a lesser trend in the record companies or
Oh yeah, because
yeah,
let me see, it's 2025. Give it about like 20 more years, these labels is gonna become distinct.
yeah,
Because like look at Atlantic Records, you got what like 200 something artists is on a label, and all the people they push is Bruno Mars, Addison Pack, and Cardi B, maybe like 3 or 4 people. But the rest, they're not doing nothing with them. It's
yeah,
like it's one thing, okay, you signed to a label, but if you've been on it for almost 10 years and you're not on no headline tours, that's a problem. Because
right.
like I was watching that for 2017 up until the pandemic. I'm like, you be telling me that these guys been around for like 3 or 4 years. And it's one thing to do it spot by spot shows, but how come you're not booking them onto these, major radio stations where they can get advantage of promoting music
Right.
out there?
Right.
How come they're not, performing at the opening show at BT Awards, Soul Train Awards? How come they're not on Vibe Magazine Essence? They're not doing none of that. And then your family's question, you're like, hey, I don't get it. Like, you've been signed as a label for like 3 or 4 years. What's going on?
What's going on? Right.
And then, yeah, as black people, we always talk. It gets everywhere. It gets everywhere. No matter how legit the situation is, people always talk. That's the fortunate part about it. So for me, if I was to come out of retirement as an artist, I get a distribution deal, but I'm going to stay independent. You know what I'm saying, and show it how to be done. But for some
Absolutely.
people, and for some people feel like they got to what's that word? Fake it till you make it. You ain't got to do none of that.
You don't
A
have
lot of
to
people
do
that
any
fake it
of
till they make
that.
it, they didn't went nowhere. Trust me.
Exactly. And
And they
you'll
got
fake it until you
blacklisted.
don't make it. And
Yeah,
and when you talk about the record label company, so gosh, I had the honor of myself actually starting one. It's still, in the makings of, and I think it goes right exactly what you said. That's why I call you the ambassador of this
thank
in
you.
general, because for me as a newer artist, going out, getting some of the singles out, like you said, getting albums ready and things like that. I developed that because number one, I developed it for myself because I'm not going to sign with a major company. I want to do my own thing and have my own rights to my own music. And number two is, even though that trending is there as far as with record label companies, I think my motivation and my goal is to, help the smaller, inspiring artists that's willing to do the work, at least get a sounding board. We're in this together. And so that's the reason why I started my record label company called Serenity K, is for that reason. It's not about being here with Sony Record or anybody, but I want to be one of the female ladies, across the United States and the world,
Yes,
being known for being able to help develop and promote other artists in general and not get a big major royalty behind it because I'm not out for the money, I'm out for us to grow.
yeah,
And so that's one of the reasons I started that company.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because because one thing I noticed in some of the interviews I've done, I asked the audience, I said, "Dang, how come this song was not a single?" And like with Glenn Jones, and I told him I was like, "Your album, Here I Go Again. Here it is. You went from a
Yeah.
#1 hit with a self-titled single, and the song. So I've been searching. I said, how come was no video from it? Once again, Atlantic Records. He said, man, I bagged them, and they rejected it. He said it was so weird that it got so much heavy play, to be on the Billboard charts for 33 weeks.
Oh, wow.
For like 6 months. He immediately tell me that y'all didn't want to shoot no video for it. To go from because he went from RCA to Jive,
Yeah.
then to Atlantic, and that don't tell you something ain't wrong. That's a problem. And this what trips me out. I remember I said it maybe a couple months ago or something. If you own a label, to these so-called executives, understand this. bring 10 fans to the room. Put the artist right there, play the whole entire album. These fans gonna tell you this song should be a first single, that should be second. We love them all. But you tell the artist that, nah, this is not gonna be a hit. How do you know?
You don't.
How do you know?
You're right.
And my thing like is who put you on to give you this job? That's what I want to know. And it's sad though, because that happens to a lot of the reason why that's the reason why you see a lot of music executives get let go because they had done damage control. Capitol Records, oh God, MCA, it's a handful of people that took a lot
Yeah,
of losses because a lot of bad business decisions they made. That's straight up, because like I
wow.
said, like if I run a label, if I'm signing you, I'm bringing, five or six outside people, and it'd be like, oh man, I love this song. Yeah, let's make this a single, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the thing about it, like you said, you can put out those singles and you can put out those records or albums or whatever. But in my point of view, in my eyes, the ultimate allure of all this is the fans. The
Yeah.
fans, it's that listening audience. And like you said, if like say if I put out my single Serenity and you say Katina, that's gonna be a hit. I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm getting 1 million views, I'm like, so like you said, you really don't know the surface layer of, the listeners, how, what inspires them on that song and what it is. There's a lot of, artists, R&B artists that I love, but at the same time, I may like a song or, an instrumental and you may go, so it's our perception, it's of who we are and how we
Yeah.
feel, and if it's to our ear. That's how I see, the whole gamut of it.
Yeah, because like whenever I hear a song, and I know because I step out of the business level and I focus on the fan level. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, if I'm a fan of an artist, this song has to get my attention. This song's got to be the reason why for me to go to the record store and get the CD. This song got to
absolutely.
be the reason for me to download the song because I need it because this song is hot. Because you know how it was back in those days, everything was a hit.
Right.
It didn't matter what genre it was,
Everything.
everything was a hit. So and in those days, it didn't matter what race you was. I mean, the song sounded good. It didn't matter, who was the artist was. It sounded good and stuff because everything was a hit. That's
Yeah.
what made it so, cool about that. Because now these days, I mean, true enough, it's like on pins and needles. Because everybody think they could sing and stuff. I thought to myself, I said, damn, what have these independent artists? If they was on Showtime Apollo, they wouldn't even make it. They'll get booed right the fuck off. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. You know what I'm saying? Boo you out of here. Here comes Sandman get the
I,
boo and sweeping you up out of here.
to the left and to the right and get off the stage.
Yeah.
But that was real contemporary, like either you like it or you don't. And it wasn't no in between of like, when they booed you off the stage, you're getting off the stage, because that's just how it was.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Wow.
And some fans, one thing I hate about the Apollo fans, a prime example. No offense to anybody that's watching this, lives in
Yeah.
Harlem, that was at Showtime Apollo. Y'all was wrong. And I'm gonna call it out too. Okay, so when Joe came out with his first album, everything, how the hell did none of y'all Negroes did I stand up and clap? Here it is, the sister with the jerry curl, the older lady, get up and down. Y'all didn't do nothing. Y'all treat these all like they're immature. I don't get that though, man. Come on, New York, man. Damn.
Oh my
So
God.
and but big shout to Steve Harvey though, because when he did came back, his
Yeah.
whole thing was kind of like, okay, if I'm gonna come back, we gotta have an audience director to make the fans stand up.
Right.
Because had Showtime Apollo would had it back then, that'd be different. But
Right.
yeah, but big along so short, yeah, get back to what you're saying. It just that being independent is important because you own your music. You get a chance to put out the songs you want to put out instead of label telling you what's best for you and
Right.
stuff. It's one thing we had artist development is needed. And I'm gonna say this too. Artist development still exists. And just a narrative trying to say that it don't. It does. Because you got some independent artists I have interviewed, not all, they are very professional. How they talk,
Yeah.
Forget the singing part, forget how they work the stage, how they talk. It's so professional, and
Yeah.
you can tell it came from somewhere,
Right.
because people's really putting a lot of energy, into it, and things. So,
That is so
yeah,
true. That is so
yeah, so,
true. It's kind of like, it's a different kind of thing, but music and it's like going to any job. You talk about artist development, but when you go to a job and you have that hiring process, and you're looking at, okay, what am I going to do to help this person succeed? If I don't have the tools, to give it to them and I'm out there just saying, oh yeah, just do this, you'll be fine. You don't prosper that way. And when we talk about artist development and things like that, there's still a part of that that you have to have. I mean, you just can't go and think, like I'm just going to use myself as example because I can critique myself. If I go out there as Serenity K and I don't have that artist development mindset and I'm on the stage and I'm, doing all this or talking, any kind of way, not that, we don't talk a certain way, don't get me wrong, but that development, where how you live it, how you walk it, how you present it, it's everything. It's everything to me,
absolutely,
because I want people to see me for, if you see Katina this way, you're going to see Katina that way as an artist or a doctor or whatever it is in my field, because that's the perception I want people to see me. And that's all about my development, whether it's musically, professionally, or on any of those levels. So you're right. Artist development is there. I think a lot of it is, it's embedded in ourselves that we have to want to go get it.
absolutely, yeah, that's to, because you get a chance because people don't realize this, and I told my cousin in LA is that being an artist, that's a brand. It's one thing, it's a hobby, but it's a brand because you got
Right,
to brand yourself. You got to
right,
wear many hats. You can have a manager, you can have a PR, you can have an agent, but you are the brand.
right,
Because one time, and I had to get on him several times, and he kept saying, "Well, all I want to do is think like an artist." I said, "Dude, the only time you think like an artist when you write the song, you record a song, you
right,
perform the song, you shoot a video, you do a photo shoot, you doing all the art thing, you sign the autographs."
right.
But when it comes behind the scenes, you are a businessman. 'Cause once you put the hat on, it's game time
It's game
and
time.
stuff. And the thing about some art, the reason, and I'm gonna say this too, no offense to any independent artists, but stop whining complaining. When it's your time, it's your time.
Right,
It's about how you handle it. And the reason why certain things ain't happening because you're not really taking the time to be like, you know what, God brought me here. I know it's
yeah,
gonna be a minute, but I know I'm gonna get there. I just gotta
right.
really, hold my own and stuff. And the thing is, when it comes to age limit, there's no age limit of practicing, because you only get better. It's
That's
like
right,
you're not gonna be the same person you was when you was 15, and here it is,
right.
you're 25. You're not gonna be the same person you was when you were 35, and you used to be 25, and it just goes
25.
from there. They just go from there. So,
That is true.
time change.
Oh, wow. And that is so true. And I'm tell you why. So, I had a music career in college or whatever, on top of the other stuff that I do. But when you talk about the age, and that's why I want you on this show as an ambassador of this, because you've been there, you've done it, you've seen it all. And you said you're 44, right?
Yeah, 44. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm way older than you. And so when you talk about, um, it doesn't matter where you start. It's how you
yeah,
finish and how you present it, and
absolutely.
the thing about, like I take lessons, yes, and I'm still learning and I'm still developing and I'm still doing all those things, and it doesn't stop there. I don't care if you're 90 or 100, there's just like people playing their instruments or whatever. You played it 40 years, but you can only get better and better and better and better. I don't care,
Absolutely.
whether you're 60, 70, or 80. It's all about that brand and how you make that brand and you continue to make that brand.
Yeah, that's the real truth because, whenever somebody, puts it out there, but hey, I'm an artist, and they hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but at the same time, you got to back it up because you want people to to believe in you, you got to bring it to the table.
that's right.
If and the problem with, almost 70% of independent artists that they don't hit up these spots, far as starting out and to get the name out there. You can
Yeah,
record a song, that'll be nothing. You got to go to some of these, juke joints, say and perform, and to build your growth, to build
Yeah.
yourself as an artist. Because that's where your grind starts when you hustle, when you put
Right.
the work in. I mean, true enough, as artists, everybody wants to get paid Johnny on the spot. If you're not signed to nothing and it's just you in your studio, you got to make it happen.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because time waits for no man.
That's right.
Because every year a birthday is coming up. Every year something else is coming up. So you got to have that mindset. Because the one thing I hate about some artists, they talk a good game, they're not really about it, and stuff. But people are like, oh man, Rashad, you be calling them out. And, call them out. And there's a difference between calling them out and telling the truth. Call them out when you mad at somebody. You
Right.
pissed off. That's different.
Right.
Explaining something to educate people. That's the big difference. Because like if I'm 13, 14 years old and I'm recording songs and I'm watching all these other people, hustle, I'm like, okay, let me get myself together. Let me go ahead and get this rolling. But
Right.
the problem is though, people want that attention, but they don't want to put the work in. That's a big difference.
A big difference. A
Yeah,
big
that's a big
difference.
difference.
And it's hard work, and if you lived it for a moment, or even you've been in this industry for a long time, so you've heard the backstories and the backstage, like
Oh yeah.
hustles and stuff like that. But when you look at me, and I'm in this industry of continuing to make music and stuff, it's all about, man, that hustle is real. People don't understand how hard being a
Yeah.
musician or artist is. You could think, oh, they just went into a studio and made a song. That very well may be for some people, but for the people, such as myself and others who, take pride in it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah,
work.
it is. Because I'm gonna tell you straight up though, because when somebody put, when you put that title out there, people want to see can you back it up.
Right.
And I'm gonna say this: nobody should never feel some type of way. Your first couple shows, if you're not practicing and you on stage and stuff, your first show is gonna suck. I hate to say it. Your voice is gonna suck. I mean, that's the honest God truth. But if you're
Yeah.
not, but what makes a person great when they practice every week? I'm gonna give a prime example. Back four, they're the only young dudes that's like between 18, 24.
Yeah.
I mean, when they was about like 6 up to 10 years old, I never see kids practice every single damn day. I mean, I never seen a like it. A big shout out to the parents who really installed it in them because with them showing the world that you would think that okay, you want the artists to be the old artists be like, you know what? I see these kids doing that. I know they're not my age, but it motivates me
Yeah.
to really work hard. What I'm saying? But like I said, that in about if you're 22, you call yourself an artist, you got to practice.
You have to.
Because when you look at some of your videos, you look at some of your chords, you be like, oh, God, I sound like that. But what it does is that you get a chance to really be like, okay, let me go ahead and get myself together. Let me, work on my vocals. Let me work on my practicing. I mean, how I work the stage and everything. Because one thing you don't want to do as an artist, and I see a lot of videos of a lot of independent artists, somebody interview somebody I know personally, is that when you get on stage, don't get on stage trying to think of something. Get on stage, like it just like you command that stage.
That's
Like
right.
if I'm a singer and I'm not no dancer, I'm gonna work that stage. I'm not gonna stand in one spot like I do some damn speech. I'm gonna talk to the ladies. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna let you know how I feel about you and
Yeah.
how far you is. I'm gonna throw a
Right.
rose at you.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the next woman. So that way, when they leave the show, they're gonna feel some type of way.
Right.
And put on a great show because that's what spreads the word out. You can't call yourself a singer and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And
You
I think that's
never.
where the whole situation begin. Because one thing an artist should always understand is that you're not, as far as the Bills, you're not Marvin Gaye, you're not Luther Vandross,
Girl alert.
Dylan Vert, you're not none of that. You are you, but you could be you. Your whole competition is you.
That's right.
And one thing a person should keep in mind is that no matter how good you sing, no matter how dance you sung, you're not the next Michael Jackson. Michael is the blueprint of all
Here's the
this.
blueprint, the
If it
stamp.
wasn't for his vision to be a storyteller, none of
Yeah.
these artists would ever be doing what they doing. They took one
Right.
man to see all that. If people look at the 1983 interview and they was doing the finishing touches to Thriller, And
Yeah.
he wasn't mentioning on artist's name, but he said some of the videos was cheesy and it was just all over the place. And if you think about it, it does, you know.
Yeah.
And with his videos from Blame on the Boogie on up, you're like, wow, man, I like that. Because he gave people to talk about. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. But you talk about that practice, for example, just throwing this in here as an example, of course, I follow Kenny G, I go to his tours and we went international.
yeah,
And my God, when you talk about, okay, you're on a plane for hours and hours and you
right.
can't get that training in. So, one of the things is, like you said, when you hustle and when you do that, I get my voice trainer, I'm just doing my little stuff on the plane, because no matter where you are or where you're at and what you're doing, you still got to keep it going, So that's
Got to keep it going.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a true fact. It's a true fact.
But Kenny G, he been doing this more like 50 some plus years, and no matter how good he sounds on stage, he still practice.
Every
He want to
day,
make sure
3 hours
song
a
on stage.
day,
He'll
three
make sure
hours
song
a
on stage
day.
is on point.
Yeah, he practices 3 hours a day. And then when he
Okay.
goes to the shows, he gets there at noon before the show, and he's there from noon until the time he gets ready to start. And I've seen some, of the practices.
Yeah,
I sat in on one for sure, and it's just amazing. Like his band is just, he's been doing this for that long, and that man
yeah,
dedication and his soul to it. Like you said, when people put in the work, he doesn't just backlash it. He's actually doing the work. Like he said, he goes, I don't consider myself great because I'm still mastering it. I'm still making it happen. I'm still, trying to be the best that I can be. And for that man
absolutely.
continue to keep that drive for all these years, he is one hell of a goat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy though because with the artists that he done collaborate with that sung on his
Yeah,
sound and songs that he got called in for a session for, it's like nobody ever talks about the stuff. Because you know what? As much as we talk about Johnny Gill's By My Mind, if it was for Kenny's, sound, just that solo performance right there,
that's right.
nobody ever talk about that.
You know,
I don't care who that is,
it's almost like people are getting in tune to like vocals, like the singing
yeah,
aspect, and then like that instrumental part is like, oh, it's instrumental, but that music, that tone, that note, that melody brings out every song that I listen to all his stuff, of course. Everything that he puts into those songs vocally, as far as the singers,
yeah,
he takes it to a whole nother level,
he does.
and it's amazing what that man can do. He's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I would
He,
love for him and Bryson, work together again. God willing,
I
whatever
know.
how the stars, collide. I mean, align. Let's make that happen because people got that type of universal voice. Just give him any beat or anything. He would just
Yeah.
make it out of something good.
So anything, it's kind of like, can you make that out of something? He can turn, I
Yeah,
hate to say it, sugar into whatever, but they're amazing, and people
yeah,
they're not looking at the back, past of like the Kenny G's and people Bryson and all of those folks, and they are the traditional blueprint of
yeah.
who we are today. You know,
Because I know, like in the '80s, I remember as a little boy, I do remember that as far as when it came to jazz and R&B that dominated was Kenny G, was Al Jarreau,
yeah,
George Benson. And that's all I heard. There was a
yeah,
heavy rotation. I mean, there were some artists that was still, Joe Arbrace and everything, but as far as on the C level, that was a whole different
oh,
conversation.
that's
So,
right,
and
that's
everything.
right.
I think, the one thing I can say about, good music is timeless and stuff, Um, because I hate when, prime example, when Diddy talk about R&B's dead, I can't it be dead,
It-
and I get it because he was trying to promote the album
yeah,
that just watered up and stuff, but it's like how can it be dead? Because music has brought peace into people's lives. Is a soundtrack to a person's life. You got some people out there that's like they can name 30 songs and they would tell you what song, what era of their life meant something to them
that's right.
and it got them out of depression or they was feeling good about something or whatever it is, those songs meant something to them. A song could bring two people together and then out of nowhere they end up becoming a couple and the rest is history.
That's right.
And if music never existed, I think this world probably would have been crazy. Ain't no telling.
Er.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want to say this too though, because okay, I'm gonna shoot on the whole Beyonce situation. For one, and I don't want to come off as a like it's a racist topic or like that, but I
Yeah.
want a handful of racists to understand is that black people, we created rock and roll, we created country, and I'm not talking about R&B, I ain't talking about hip hop, none of that. We created these sounds because for one, Ike Turner, when he did Rock in '88, that was the very first considered rock and roll song.
Yeah, actually,
You
you're
know,
right.
yeah, and people
Yeah.
don't really talk about that. And you had so many black country western singers out there that did it part with from there. Because one thing that that the white man, other races understand this: if black people never done music, what do they have? Nothing.
Right.
So it's like you guys want to dress like us, talk like us, and everything. Get out there for the cause and stuff.
Right.
But you want to benefit from what we brought to the table, and that's the problem of that. And that's the honest God truth because black music is American music and everything. It's like you could be at a friend's house, you see a black woman, cooking, and she playing music. You know what I'm saying? It's in our rhythm.
Always. When I
It's in
cook,
our song.
always. Always.
You know, and that's why I say, and I want to give you your flowers because here it is, to do what you do, and also the other female artists is when I did the flyer on the Black Music Month and everything, because I
Yeah,
want
that was
people to really
amazing.
to pay attention that there's a lot of great talent out there. And
Yeah.
I know with some independent artists that felt overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I never felt like this. But my thing is I want, all the independent artists out there that does good music, is that I want them to feel ego. But don't whatever you do, don't subscribe to your ego because that's where things start to backfire.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, you subscribe to motivation to be like, you know what? Okay, I got this much praise. Let me see what I could do to out top what I did. But not really much outdo it, but continue on.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like bring it back to Michael Jackson. People thought he was trying to top Thriller. Michael was not trying to top Thriller. He was, adding more different sounds of it. So his music pretty much like opened doors to a lot of people that people don't even talk about. It's like, for example, like your music, it's like it could be a young lady, 18, 19 years old. Here it is, you got your own spin of sound, and then she'd be like, oh wow, you know what? I don't want to be like her, but I want to be inspired by her because I love her music,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and whatever it does to her, hey, let's see where it goes at.
Right.
And I
Absolutely.
think it's interesting.
Right, that's amazing. And then when I want to go back a little bit to the Black History flyer that you put out for us. And it came across and you tagged me and I was like, what? And the thing about it is, and the reason one of the biggest, oh my gosh, you just don't know how, you're an ambassador to me and I know everybody else, on the
Appreciate it.
site. But that right there, it's kind of like, when you're putting out music and it's kind of like, oh, it's there, but you still got to work hard. You can't thrive
Yeah,
off of, oh, nobody really liked it or it didn't get this because unfortunately I'm a person that I don't let things get to me. I
yeah,
move forward with it. I figure it out and then I keep moving because you don't knock me down. You just, whatever you do, you're gonna make me work 10 times harder. So,
absolutely.
when things are not, the way it needs to be, I'm like, that doesn't bother me, because I'm gonna come back 10 times harder, trust me, because that's who I am. I've always been that person of inspiration and motivation. I know like what I can give to other people. It can help somebody else. And just like when you put out that flyer, and I'll never forget it, and it's right here and it's going to stay here for the rest of my life. I was like, wow. Even on
Yeah,
days when you don't think you're inspiring somebody, look what just happened.
yeah, absolutely. Because You know, my thing was I wanted to make sure you all was highlighted, on a consistent basis and stuff to let people know that, hey, look all the work they put in. They're not just making music,
Wow.
they evolving, they growing as a person. It's like whatever you did last year, be like, you know what, that was cool, but I know I gotta do better this year. So it's like
Right.
one day where the first hits is, it's like, it's like your plan A, just go from there. Cause because for real, that was the first time I did a flyer on, on you all when I put that together.
Wow.
And I'm glad that the timing was everything because I had to get rid of certain individual that, there was a female like the those Rock Stones and other female artists.
Yeah.
Because one thing I hate the most, especially as black women, I love y'all, but to really throw hate towards each other, y'all really need to stop that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's out.
This
It's
is
real. Oh,
and this is the reason why other races laugh at us because they know that we're gonna entertain that. They know that that's in our DNA to throw hate and everything.
right.
And because for one, they said about who looks better than who sounds, forget all that. It's about, showing, a up and coming generation, hey, you can do what I could do,
Right. No matter what you
and
are or
that's
what you
yeah,
look like. That's right.
yeah. Because you don't see James Brown, throwing shade at Michael Jackson. That like kind of saying, like, what the hell you doing, young man? Try to copy out for me. You don't see, Lionel Richie, hate on the next person. You'll see none of that. It's sad how that stuff like that happens because music's supposed to have, because one day, you can't call yourself a legend if you don't have class.
Yeah, for
That's the thing, you know.
sure.
No matter how pioneer your music is, you're not a legend if
No,
you don't have a great attitude.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So,
That's
and
right.
it's sad. You got someone that's been around for like 40 plus years, still going on with their ego. And here it is. They the half of his grandparents. It's like you gonna keep that hate in your heart till you close your eyes. That's a problem.
There's a problem. And the thing about it is that, what I may do versus what you may do. And, whatever, like you said, you got an ego, it's not going to work for you because eventually it's going to put you down, or it's going to stop you in your tracks. But,
Yeah.
when you look at, like you said, us of Black female women, in that mindset of class, it's almost like if it's not there, don't hate on the next person. Be glad for what they do. If you don't, what's that old saying that our grandparents used to say? If you don't have nothing to say or do, don't say it or
Don't
be
say that
nice.
at all.
Don't say nothing at all. Because what we do on a level, you can't do what we do. You
Yeah,
can't be who we are. And if you're that envious and that hatred of what somebody's doing on that next level, get out there and try to do it and make it work yourself. But don't try to put another person down to feed your ego to make you look like you're the victim, or
yeah,
for some odd reason, like you said, the way you look or the way who whatever is the reason you got there. Because I know for
yeah,
myself, I worked my butt off to get where I am. I don't need anyone to climb me anywhere. I don't need anybody to put me on that level because I am who
yeah.
I am. And when you see me today, you're going to see me like this 15 years from now. So it is what
Yeah.
it is. It's a shame. It's a shame, but
It is. It
what do
is.
you
It is a
do?
shame. Because that's the reason why we can't never get it right.
Right.
And black people, it's like we could be so powerful to so many levels that we allow society play us to
That's
thinking that
right.
it's all we know.
Right.
And that's the reason why that education level is messed up. Younger babies having babies and stuff. It's just a hot mess. Everything you see on social media, it's reckless, all the
Yeah.
time and stuff. And it's sad how that, plays a part. Because for me, it's like I've been featured on 32 online magazines. The
Wow.
R&B talk show has been mentioned by Essence Magazine, Ebony, was it Ball Alert, Live
Wow.
Magazine. Because like when I
Hmm.
broke the news on A. Levert's daughter, Ryan Levert, rest in peace. And it's like for me, like when I put something out there, I don't be thinking about nothing. Then when it just hits to the universe, it just takes off.
Right.
I'm like, wow, I said, man, like let me step my game up. Everybody else would have an ego problem. Like, I've been in this game for so long. It'd be crazy of me still trying to run with that,
Right.
title. But when I saw my flyer, I did on Donna Lewis rest in peace, and it was on there. And Miss Patty Jackson shared my flyer, and I was like, whoa, and then because my sister, she called me on the phone. She said, Rashad, you watching there tonight live? I said, no. She said, you need to go to it right now. And they thank God for YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
I screenshotted it, and I was like, you know what? That's it. You know, I mean, with Mark, and I don't have to be on the show, so I ain't got nothing to
Wow.
prove. So yeah, God's
Right.
good.
Right, it is. And and the thing about it is looking, so of course I follow you in a lot more, trending people, and
Right.
then that's the kind of inspiration that I talk about, when you have someone doing what you do on that level, It's not even ambassador level at this point. I call it greatness because what you've done and what you've put out there, I don't see a lot of that. And you continue to go. And not only are you taking that to that level, but people like me as an artist and as a person, you're giving us that sounding board. You're giving us that piece of, like, my gosh, he believes in our music. He believes in us. And and I think I forgot, it was Javion that I did a interview with, and we talked
Yeah,
about you. And one of the things that I said was, he's not about, oh yeah, it sounds good, and telling us something we want to hear. We put it like this for you. It is what it is. If he tell you that it ain't gonna work, we believe in that. And that's the kind of people we
that's
build
true.
ourselves around. We want people that are honest, that's gonna tell us like, hey, I don't think that's going to work. I think you may need to do this and that. And that's what culture is about when it comes to music. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Give me the
That's true.
facts, put it down there, and tell me, hey, I don't know about that, Katina. Nah, I take criticism. I take it very well.
Yeah,
But that
appreciate it.
inspires us to do better and better and better. And so when I saw that flyer come out, I was like, wow. Or you're charting us on your tracker list, for the R&B Spotify playlist. That stuff is
Absolutely.
inspirational. It's like, I did that. Like they did that. It's like, and you're putting out other people's music. And like even JV Young's, I'm gonna mention him because that's the one, that I know. And
Yeah,
he had the one song, it's for you or something like that.
it's
And
for
it,
you. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like I listen to them. Oh my God, I love this song. And so it's not about like you're spitting out stuff just to be spitting it out. This stuff is creative professional content that we as artists build on. I mean, it's factual. When I look at it, I'm like, I didn't know that. And that's the kind of stuff we want to see. That's the kind of real stuff we want to hear. I don't need the daily news or whatever to tell me something. I don't even know if it's real or not anymore. But what you're doing for us as artists is so inspiring. Hats off to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. For me, it's like if I hear a song doesn't sound right, I'm gonna give you advice because I think the problem with most men and women that's in this business that call themselves advisors and mentors that take the time to explain yourself without trying to assault them.
Right.
And I think that's what's the problem. Like if I know that you got so much potential, if you're on point, then all I gotta say is, hey, go ahead and put it out there. And if a song that I feel like there's if your voice sounds good on the first verse and if it lack on the second verse, I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? I don't know what was going on today with you, but kind of like run it back. You know what I'm saying? And go from there. You know what I'm saying? Because true enough, sometimes outside stuff could like interfere and you might lose that momentum,
Yeah.
and stuff
Right.
like that, just to get back to square one. But I like to motivate artists to bring the best out of them, because because I want to see you win,
That's right.
and I know that God gave you these tools for a reason. You didn't call yourself an artist for a reason, because once you put that battery on your back, then it's on you,
It's on you.
how much power can you handle, throughout your whole journey.
That's right.
That's the
Wow.
real truth, Yeah, and big shout out to Javion, a great bell artist stuff. I mean, the brother got a great story, his career and stuff. Just watching his journey and stuff. I'm proud of him. You know, man, like the last about like 4 or 5 years, I done watch him grow as a person.
Yeah.
It's good to see him succeed. It's definitely excellent. Um, for me, I thought to myself like with this, with the RB talk show that's going to be on the Phil Sun television soon. I'll be
Yes.
filming this weekend once I fix myself up and get everything steamrolling. I can't wait to put it out there because my thing is sad though that here I am, I'm a father, I got a 13-year-old daughter, since she's already in the 8th grade, and I
One on
got
the
another
way.
on the way, yeah, and I got another on the way, due January the 5th. And, my thing was like, I want to bring something where I could watch it with him instead of
Wow.
being like, oh my God, I can't do it, she's
Yeah.
already twerking, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's sad, how life has went from that. Because back in the day, FCC they didn't play that. When it comes to stuff like that. Especially comes to derogatory words or he said anything. It's crazy how, society has played into that.
Yeah.
But I do miss the days where life was simple. But, as far as the R&B talk show, bringing it back to music videos, the live performances, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, for example, like where BET had a thing where, okay, with what's his oh god, Kenny G, prime example, when he was on
Yes.
tour, BT promoted that was like in the early 90s. And what I like about that, they'll post a song that's not even a single. And they
Yeah.
let people know say, hey, catch Key Boy and Alexis City or somewhere see there stuff like that.
Yeah.
Johnny Gill doing this and
Hmm.
so many other folks, because I miss those days where, advertisement and they'll throw it in your face 24/7. That's what's about. That's my goal. It's like, what can I do to, market, Serenity K? You know what I'm saying? People need to see her when she coming to your town. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Yeah, that's important. It's all about marketing. And because here it is, television's not going to do that these
No,
days,
it's not.
every day. It is a triviality, because I know people talk about BT and stuff, but people didn't let that go, man. And for me, I can't wait to, bring the essence back, because here it is. Every time you get on Instagram and Facebook, you see women walking past by half naked, butthole naked. Do you see guys walking past by smoking joints and stuff?
Yeah.
Young dudes, flash your weed. That's not what it's all about.
No, it's not.
When I was coming up, you had T something. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I know people that's born in the 90s never saw it, but my generation, coming up as a teenager in the 90s, we had T something. It helped a lot of black men and black women because T something never need to come back. Because here it is. You got kids committing suicide from 2008 on up.
Own up.
It's sad though because we don't have the black mothers to tell their daughters how beautiful you are, how
Right.
smart you is.
Right.
You got dark skinned women, they get judged on what that's light skinned did, and it should never be like that. Last time I checked, no
Right.
matter what shade you is, your black is beautiful.
Right.
God put you here for a reason, not for a season.
Not for a
You
seat.
know, and no offense to the parents and stuff, but a lot of their delivery, how you talk to your child, talk to them normal, you know.
Right.
And so that way nobody's not over talking and, arguing or nothing. It's sad that we don't have that, because like the young lady that one time, she wanted to commit suicide.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that blew my mind. I was like, all the times I went live on Instagram, that has never happened. It took me almost an hour to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I understand her situation. I wish she should have reached out to you
Yeah.
and others, but my thing like is at first I was like, don't do this for a reason. Don't do this. You try to troll. If you really going through that, you know, then yeah, I don't mind talking to you and I can get
Right.
other people to help you out.
Right.
But at the same time, I think the problem is a lot of time with most parents now all is that we teach our kids about certain stuff. We never teach the kids about life. What's the things preparing for you? People
Right.
gonna come to you with drugs. People come to you, with alcohol. People gonna approach you in different types of ways and everything and stuff. It's like it's one thing you teach the kids about focus on your education. That's cool. But teach the kids about life.
In general, life.
Yeah. And last time I
Yeah.
checked, I thought we was all human.
Right.
But unfortunately, we don't have that. And it's sad though, because you don't have those ministers that comes to neighborhoods and like visits, like mentors young black men, black women to motivate and be like, you know what, wow, I love this. You know what I'm saying? It's sad though, you don't see like
Right.
people coming to churches. Cause no offense to some churches at all is that, if a person that wants some help, why are you running that man, that woman away?
Right.
There are some ministers that actually helps a man that's a convicted felon, helps him get a job, and make sure he's on the feet, no matter what background it
Yeah.
is, no judge at all. And it's sad though, because here it is, all these jobs are folded. You want a person, here it is, like you constantly get a fella off the street, get them a job.
Give him a job.
Here it is,
Yeah.
this man might got like 2 or 3 kids and stuff, and you're not helping this brother. That's why the system is messed up and everything. Goodwill need to get this stuff together.
Oh wow. Oh, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said.
Yeah,
Of
go ahead.
course, I can't mention names, because I'm a professional with this, but in the mental health
No, you
aspect of it, behavioral health. So for instance, I have, clients, I see clients as, doctoral student. And one of the things that we help with is like what you're saying, we do, the mental health, the medical, we do all of that stuff. And so there's a particular one that is a sex offender. And when
right.
people hear that, they go, "Oh my God,"
Yeah,
But when you look at in all aspects of life and what when we get someone that comes in and they have that on their status, right? Either we're
yeah,
looking at like they really did it, or something happened, or they just got caught in the crossfire. But this person really got caught in the crossfire. And it was something that, people put out false intentions, they put out false accusations, and that person fell into that. And so when you talk about the mental health and the aspect of, when you're growing up in life, and you have the parents, and, I'm not blaming this on parents or anybody. I've seen over thousands of clients, and what I hear is, well, I wasn't told that when I was growing up. They didn't tell me that,
yeah,
or they didn't have the father figure or the mother figure, whatever it is. I'm not going to get all into it. But this particular person is a sex offender. And when I tell you, when you talk about goodwill, when you talk about warming centers, cooling centers, places where these people can live, get a phone, survive, they don't have it. You know why? Because they're actually labeled at this point, and it's almost like you just shut their whole life to an
it's
end.
sad.
And it's bad, and there's nothing out
Yeah,
there. When I call to look for resources and to get them the help, we don't have that. They can't be in so many feet of kids. They can't do this. And it's like, okay, the system was built to put you in jail to make you uphold the law. But when
hmm,
you're unrightfully, convicted or whatever, where is that help to help you live and survive? It's pretty,
yeah.
it's pretty sad.
It's
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 sad.
sad though. It's sad with somebody that's in that position that's an SO.
Oh,
And when it comes to, when they look at it's what they look at a female one way, they might give them a chance to a certain extent.
yeah,
When it comes to men, they look like, oh, you big and powerful. They get scared. I'm like,
yeah,
it's one thing a person did it and they realize where they messed up at. They find a God, they turn life around, and
yeah,
this and that. Give that person a chance.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And stuff, regardless if they did it or not. It's just a point of I hate places like that where Goodwill, Salvation Army and stuff. They tell a man and a woman, they get on TV, they get on this news, and they
Yeah,
tell you this play all, but this is what all we're gonna do for you. And
right,
then turn around, a person might be like, oh man, great. I get a chance to have a job, start a
right,
career, people won't judge me.
right,
And they turn around and tell you, oh well, we can't help you, and stuff. And it's
right.
sad because you're actually mentally hurting people. That's why I say
Yeah,
that a lot of stuff definitely needs to change. It's like, if you consider help a junkie, that's keeps going in and out of rehabs, alcoholic. Why can't you help this brother out? That's
right,
an SO.
right,
I don't get that. That's why I say the system is messed up because you got some man and some women really wants to work so bad. They had a job before they even got convicted,
right,
they want to change. They wants and half of them got kids.
right.
They can't do nothing, and that's why I say that, don't pay attention to the title, focus on the person.
Focus on the person.
And I think the majority of women and men that, they call stuff clean up the streets, they're not cleaning up,
Yeah,
You just bringing more junk into it, and stuff.
yeah,
Because, like, if I was in that position, somebody told me this, I'm like, you know what? I understand that. We ain't got to go through a whole dynamic. Like, tell your story, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I'm going to do what I can to help you, but you got to follow through,
You got to
with
follow
it.
through. That's right.
And, that,
That's right.
and it's sad, though, because I understand it because, like, when I was coming up, there was no male figures,
Yeah,
coming up. You have guys making babies with different women and women
yeah,
get pregnant by whoever,
yeah,
And I remember, like, when I was 13, 14 years old, you had kids in middle school smoking cigarettes, coming out smelling like the toilet and cigarettes at the same time, And
yeah,
you got girls get pregnant like 15, 16 years old, get pregnant by an older guy. Nobody never says nothing
yeah,
until something actually happens. something, till something actually happens. You got mothers pimping their daughters out, bringing the guy talking about, oh, look at my daughter. Yeah, you looking at her all right. You telling her, oh, put on some skimpy shorts, get your hair done. You prostitute your child. Come on now.
Yeah. Wow.
And then your daughter thinking that, okay, my mom set me up to prepare myself. It's sad though. You think about it. A mother could be 55
Hmm.
and daughter could be 35, and all that she knows is a trick off an older man that's 70 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you threw it in her face. And
Yeah.
then your kids like, oh my
It,
God,
yeah.
why is that happening? Sad.
It is,
So yeah.
it
But
is.
I can clear there.
And,
But I was,
and
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, I'm the type of person about what your background is. If I see, that you working on yourself, you're doing good, I'm not gonna judge you.
Right.
And it's none of my business. People say,
That's
hey man, you
right.
see that? I see that, but hey, this person, he's a trained person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a title's a title. Now, if you want to title people, I put it this way, you can tell who's actually that's really on it. They like that.
Yeah.
And you can tell that what's the case so far in life, and stuff. So that's why I say that if these jobs could take a chance on somebody that sit here and keep on quitting jobs every 3 or 4 months and stuff, and that look bad on your resume, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I blame the human resource. I hate, the management. I blame all these other even the unemployment place that calls them hiring felons. They all should be to blame, you know.
It's all about that development, and it's like
Yeah,
this. If you bring in someone that doesn't have those values, and then I'm gonna put this one on the table. If you don't bring a person in with those values, and the company don't push for those values,
yeah,
you get what you put out.
yeah. Yeah, they always say though the type of it's like if a person that wakes up negative all the time, every time they call you, they never had nothing good to say.
Right.
Because one thing a man or woman should realize this: the type of energy you put out is what you get in return.
That's right.
And I
That's
hope that
right.
stinks in. Like I got some cousins, they think for the worst, and I'm like, listen, if you don't want to sit here, strive for the better, you're gonna get worse in return. And the sad part about it, some of my cousins, they felt that wrath because they put that type of energy out there, that negative
Right.
energy. So, because I know for me, and I can't speak for every man, I know like when I was 32 years old, I never forget, it was March 9th in 2014, and I thought to myself, I said, I got to get it together. My daughter, she's 2 years old. I was like, let me focus on being a single dad.
Yeah.
That's when it hit me. I was like, okay, God put me here for a reason, no matter what I went through. I almost committed suicide. I went through a lot of shenanigans. And it took to that point to be like, you know what, I got to live for my daughter. I don't
Right.
have to be, so I don't have to get back with my daughter as a mother, but I can be a father. That's what matters the most. Regardless of how her mother is, that's a whole different conversation of some animated world. But still, and just focus on being a dad,
Right.
you know. And I want to say this too to the mothers out there that regardless of what happened in your relationship, and a man, cares about his kids, let him see his kids. Your kids should have to wait till they're 18, 21 years old just because you feel some type of way and stuff. Let him see his children.
Because at the end
That's
of the
all he
day,
wants.
yeah, that's the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's still their parent.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because keep in mind, your mother did do you like that regardless of
Yeah,
your father and stuff.
that's right.
It's sad. So that's why I say we gotta do better, man. And that's what caused a lot of damage,
Yeah.
in the black community and stuff. And it's sad that it's like that.
Oh, I see
I
a lot.
don't.
You don't
Yeah,
even know the half. Everything that you're putting out here is the truth and some.
yeah,
And it is sad. It's sad. And when you go back to this music culture thing, and when you got that and their upbringing, and you're bringing it, say for example, that kid wants to be a musician, right?
yeah,
But when you have all of this right here, and then they're growing up in that type of environment, they're still shaped a certain way, no matter how you slice and dice it. They may come out great, but they may come out with some things that they're still working through. Like, they call musicians with creative, mindset. We got to be able to think and be able to, write and do those things. And
Yeah,
sometimes when you hear those people say writer's block, that's exactly what that means in some
yeah,
form of level for some people. So it's it's
yeah,
it's a it's a thing, our culture,
yeah.
our mindsets, and how we're raised, and the mental health. It all goes the same. We're all one person, one goal, one mind, and all of it is the same every single
Amen, man.
time.
Yeah,
Every
because
single time.
when black people finally got their full freedom, even though our people was free during the segregation after slavery, but when black people got their fully freedom back in 1972, all that changed. The busing came in,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
76 and stuff. It is sad that you start seeing more black women and men get on crack. Oh
yeah.
my God, and seeing how society played, it affected the whole community, because whenever I hear stories about my mom when she was coming up and stuff and how they was looked out for each other and everything, it's so different to what you see now. Now you can't trust anybody now, with your own kids, straight up. Your niece and nephews or your
Mhm.
grandkids or whatever, And it's sad, how that becomes a part of it, And then here it is, you got grown folks that's around your age or my age trolling on the internet, acting like they 26 or 19. Like, come on, are you serious?
And you know what? If you're a grown adult and you want people to respect you, and I'm so glad you brought this up. If you want people to respect you, act your age, because this
Yeah,
is what I know. If you're out there and you want people to perceive you as that person of a public figure or someone of inspiration, motivation, whatever it may be, act like it. Don't go to the next
yeah,
person saying, this is who you are when you can't even clean out your own closet or figure out your own self. And so, when you
that's
talk
right.
about you got to do better, don't go to that next person, with all the drama and gossip when you can't even figure out your own. Because unfortunately,
Yeah,
people like myself and you, we work hard at what we do. And one thing we don't have time is for ignorance. That's my whole 100%
yeah.
goal. No ignorance.
It
I
is.
don't have time
It
for it.
is sad because it's a combination of a lot of stuff, and I'm noticing too.
Absolutely.
When it comes to black people, there's a lot of literate that's going on. Black people felt that basic reading.
Yeah.
And the age gap between my age and your age, that's something
Yeah.
going on. It's like, prime example, like you can sit here, you can have one of your friends, and you can wish them, oh, happy birthday to my classmate. He turned so, wish a happy birthday. And that'd be like a couple of people will say congratulations. You'd be like, congratulations. They ain't win no car. They didn't win a house.
Right.
Saying like, I just wish them a happy birthday and everything. And it's like no matter what you post, a person will sit there and it's like day and night. Like, what's wrong? And stuff. So there is something that errors is not right, and then it is sad too, because and then you got people on the air that want to sit there and debate with you. I'm like, what's wrong? That's the reason
Yeah.
why your household's messed up. If you got the energy talking like that crap on the internet, focus on what's going on in your household. That's
In
where
your
your kids run
household.
around
That's right.
talking reckless.
That's right.
And I never thought that a million years I see kids fight the teachers. I mean, when I was coming up,
No.
some students that had their moments, but not on a consistent basis like that. I missed the dare. They used to have to say no to drugs in the 90s. I mean, I missed the commercials they used to have where, like, I never forget this black dude. He came out this, he got us of drugs to somebody. And at the end of it, he turned to a snake.
Oh, wow.
Let people know how poison it was. You don't see celebrities making advertising videos talk about stay home, or they had like a curfew or whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see that no more, And it's crazy how it changed. You got kids 12, 11 years old hanging out 4 o'clock in the morning. What are they doing outside 4 o'clock in the
Riding
morning?
bikes.
Yeah.
Bikes and messing with people mailboxes.
Yeah, stupid stuff. It's crazy
Yeah.
how they change. But
Yeah.
one thing I hate about how society plays, okay, you don't care what your kid does, but as soon as your kid gets murdered or whatever happens, like you talk
Mm.
about, oh, my son's a good son. How can your son be good and he sold drugs to the community?
Yeah.
How can you say he was a good boy? Yeah, he was a good boy when he was born, but
Yeah.
he came corrupted as he got older. Because you know why? Here it is. How can you have a son? You give your son a rope chain, a hat, have it backwards, and have him, post a gun sign and have him take a picture. That's a generation curse.
Yeah.
If you are a mother, you got 5 daughters, and every time you look up, your mother's going to go around with different guys coming in and out. 3 out of 5 would be like, wow. So if I can do, I could do it too. So you mean tell me that I could get any guy I want in the house and stuff? And there'd be that one chap be like, you know what? I don't want to be like that. I want to
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
college. I
That's
want to
for
become this
sure.
and that. And it's
Yeah.
sad how that happens.
That's for sure. I see that. I live it as far as, my clients. I mean, we just get all everything you're speaking is just right there
Yeah,
on key point. And, like I said, it all goes back to shaping, how us as future
right.
generations, we can't change this world. Don't get me wrong. We can't change it and we can't, we can only put out the content and help people understand that if you want to make a change and do better, you got to do better in yourself. And not only that, whether it's your grandkids, your kids,
Yeah,
whoever it is, you have to be the one to make that change and teach them the right,
yeah.
because nobody
You
else is
got
going
to.
to do that.
You got to. Because one thing parents don't realize, you are the superhero in your child's lives.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's one thing, kid loves their favorite artist, their favorite cartoon character and all that, but you are
Yeah,
the superhero.
that's right.
You are the backbone that motivates your child. Here it is, my daughter, she got 3 gold medals, multiple championships between elementary and middle school. And every time before I get the phone, I tell my daughter I love her. I encourage my daughter. I can't see myself and disown my daughter because for one, regardless of me, her mother didn't work out, thank the Lord, but still, I let my daughter know that, you always be my princess. There's nothing
That's
gonna
right.
change.
That's right.
And one thing, some of these idiots call some parents that just because your son or daughter turns 18, you never stop being a parent. Your child could be 50 years old and you 80, you never stop being a parent because your child's still growing, the brain's still developing. They experience all kinds of life. They experience bad relationships and everything.
Right.
You're supposed to be the provider for them, give them
Yeah.
advice. Teach them something that you was never taught when you was growing up.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. You got to champion their well-being is what I call it. If you don't champion their well-being, nobody is going to do it for them. And the thing about it is that peer pressure and what they see from friends and others, and this goes for adults too, the
yeah,
friends you hang out with, if they're doing all of this and you're like, I can do it, there is such a thing as shaping society. And they
it
follow
really is.
and they follow that. If you haven't been a strong leader in your life, and you've been raised that way of not you're following but not leading, you're going to be that way as an adult, and not unless you want to
Yep.
make the change. And I hear that a lot. Oh, my cousins used to do it, so no, you got to make that change. Nobody else is going to do that for you.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely gotta make that change and stuff because there's no way in the world that you can spend all your life. Because I think that's one thing. Some upbringings of kids be all messed up, but when you get 18 and 21, you know better.
Right.
Once you're adult, you know better. You know, and that's what I told my cousin. As much as he blamed my auntie and all that, I understand all that. I don't want to put it out there like that, but my thing is, it's like you know better.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
know better what you did from back then to where you are now. And I'm glad that my mother was the type of woman that treated me, like a stepchild or abused me or anything like that. I'm blessed on that. My mother, she motivated me. She did the best what she, could do. So like my heroes was like Jordan, Master Johnson, Arsenio Hall, Darko Dennis and stuff like that. Those were my belt figures. I never had a belt figure in my life, because I never had nobody to sit me down and say, hey, young man, this is how life is, yada, yada, yada. Because the guys I knew was like more focused on messing with a bunch of women,
Yeah.
uh, doing a lot of stuff that it wasn't supposed to be doing. And that's my environment. That's all I saw, growing up, and
Yeah.
everything. So, and I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I made some mistakes in between, but it got me to that point. At the time I was 32, here I am 44, talk about how it was then and stuff.
Right.
And it's
Right.
sad though, because it's like you could be 21, your brain is stuck at 17. You could
Or
be 29,
three.
you stuck at 25.
Or
You could be
three.
35, yeah, or three, and it gets like that. I know people say that when you're 30s, that's your experience age. That's true, because people realize when you are your 20, you still consider a kid. You
Yeah.
adult, you still consider a kid. It came from, based off your teenage years. You're
Right.
30, Yeah, you're full grown,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say this too. Don't fit to any adults in their mid 60s, 70s, and 80s that's still around. Now, you want us to respect you, and I get it, but don't use your age as an excuse to talk crazy to a younger generation.
Oh my gosh.
That you supposed to be the mentors and everything.
It
We ain't
is
got to
so
be related
true.
to you. You supposed to be the mentors. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
I'm your senior. Well, you know what? Well, I don't give a damn. How about that? I don't give a damn. How can I respect you? It's how you is.
You know
And
what? In
like,
order to get respect, you got to give it. And I'm a firm believer in that. And one thing I do
yeah,
know, I'm telling you people just don't understand. But what you're talking about, don't be of age
yeah,
when you want somebody to respect you and you're 60 and older and you're sitting here with the shenanigans, but you want people to respect you. People of this
see, yeah,
generation is not going to do that because number one, even at my age, or you're 44, but I'm older. And the thing about it is, whatever was instilled in me at a younger age, I was taught to respect my elders. And if you're of that age and you're bringing in all of this, you don't deserve respect. You get what you
right,
deserve, and so
yeah,
don't come back and play the victim when you get what you deserve. Because unfortunately, for example, me, if you're putting out something and it's coming back to me, now this is just an example, and you think I'm going to respect that. No, I'm not, because unfortunately, a lot of people who has class and professionalism, we're going to put that stuff out there to make people believe that, regardless at the end of the day, you can put your whatever out there and make people believe or try to, change society.
right,
At the end of the day, you can't change, a old soul that knows better.
yeah. Because I never forget when when Dixie folded. And I just started working at Kroger's. So this is like my senior year, and I was going to graduate and stuff. So as like the last 5 months was rolling in, people don't realize when you co-op, so you get a chance to leave at 10:30, 11
Yeah.
o'clock or 12 and
Yeah.
stuff, and then you're home for a couple hours and you go home and work or whatever. This lady, Donna, she was a school bus driver and she worked at Kroger's as a cashier part time. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I said at that time she was like in her late 60s, maybe early 70s. And my thing is like, I'm thinking that, okay, yeah, here it is. You got all this jewelry, you got your hair done. I'm thinking that, you're a nice woman. But it was something about her wasn't right. And one day I never forget. So I got my high school diploma and stuff, and I went out to cash my check. Matter of fact, I went there. I had my suit tie. I do remember that. And all of a sudden, one employee told me what she said, and she was like, "I don't know why, I don't know how he got his diploma. It's like we never saw him at school at all."
Oh,
So
wow.
when I heard about that, I was 18 then, and I told her, I said, "Now, can I ask you something? Is there an issue going on? Now you focus on your grandchildren, your kids." There's a sister, that's much older, old enough to be my grandmother. You should be ashamed of yourself. My
Yeah.
grandma never acted like that. My mama don't act like that.
Wow.
You go around judging people. You need to focus what's going on with you.
Right. There's a whole
You
other
put her
line.
for 227 to shame. Always mad at people's business and stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's sad though because I told her I was like, it's like it's like me coming to you, be like, okay, now you a school bus driver, then why you working at Kroger's? Why you need two jobs for?
Yeah.
I mean, like, where's your man at? So it's sad though that and she was a black woman doing that.
Yeah.
And it's sad though that all people that we subscribe to, hatred. We subscribe to talk down on each other.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know,
And it gets you nowhere, unfortunately. And the only piece of common sense I can say is that you are who you are, and everything in between is what you're not. And so if you don't
yeah,
inspire anybody to be better than what you want them to be, then get off the platforms and go on with your life and leave everybody else alone. And that's been my motto, and it always will
right.
be. for sure. So let me ask you, so I have been featured on your trackers. I have my song, it was no, my first song was Serenity. My second was It Was You, and then Legends of Serenity. And when I tell you, those three singles that I've had, and I do have an album coming out soon, but with the traveling, I'm kind of
Yeah.
weaving and bobbing, trying to get it all done. But I will say of and this is it's not crazy, but it's surreal. When you have Spotify, you have SoundCloud, you have all those things, and your content, and I'm getting, those things. It's not about the views or whatever. I don't care. But when I tell you the most motivational part of my music and where it's going is on your platforms.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's exciting to see.
Yeah, because when it comes to advertising, what's going on, you know, that's definitely important because, for other platforms, they do the same thing too because we want to show results. Of, hey, y'all, look what these 20, 30 artists did,
Yeah,
weekly or daily. With the R&B
yeah,
tracker, it fluctuates and it's showing people, what they're doing day by day. One
right,
minute you might be 10, 5 to 1, and back to 10, they go back up. It just goes up and down, but it's showing that people are engaging to what you're doing. Like I was telling this one lady, she said, all my plays come from Little Kentucky. I told her, I said, well, it is that if somebody creates a playlist account and show you that it's coming from there, but at the same time, all the fans listen to everything.
right,
So that's a good thing about like here it is. My playlist is based in Little Kentucky. It will say something like person, yeah, I play this song like 23 times in a row. Or this person might play like 30 times in a row. And then what's so dope about it, it adds up.
right.
When I saw like 200 plus to 500, I said, good Lord, man. Music ain't no joke, man. When people love what you hear, hey, it goes beyond words.
Wow.
And I think too, on top of that, with some independent artists, not all, is that, when somebody compliment you, I know because Fidel, it feels weird. And like, man, like, well, maybe if I was famous, then I know I probably feel like it. You ain't got to be sad to nothing. God
Right.
gave me the tools,
That's right.
like seek in that blessing. Because if somebody told me, "Oh man, I love your song," oh man, yeah, I appreciate that. With my podcast, well, soon to be talk show, is that when people tell me all the good things, I appreciate that. I don't act no type of way because those blessings, it succeeds to whatever's going to happen in the future.
Right.
That's our truth.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And then it also reaches out, like for me, when I do like my music and I see you spinning other artists, I mean, it's inspiring because I don't just think about me. I'm looking at the other artists and giving them their accolades because I'm telling you, man, what they're putting out there is phenomenal. I mean, I'm listening to some of their music and I'm like, wow, that sounds really, really good. And so
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
continues to help inspire, other artists as well. And so that's one of the reasons, I wanted you on my show today is because what you're putting out, man, it's mountains.
I appreciate that.
It's amazing. It's really
Yeah,
amazing.
because I wanted, yeah, because I wanted to create a playlist where it could be organic,
Yeah,
numbers and stuff. I wanted to, bring something out there. I know that people would love to, engage and stuff like that, and because, and then like take some songs from famous people and mix them all in with the new artists. To let people
yeah.
know, say, hey, you think that song's good for this well-known artist, but check this song out too, because you got artists like yourself, y'all music holds a lot of weight, and they can compete with those who you always see on the TV all the time.
I saw that, and which one it was? Was it Serenity or It Was You? You put it in the top. Was it like 50 55? I think it was the 55
Yeah.
playlist on Spotify. You didn't put
Uh-huh.
it there, but it's there. And when I saw some of the artists, like, was it Brandy and Public Announcement? And
Yeah.
I'm like number six. I'm number what? I'm number three. It's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
we could, not that we're trying to compete. You can't
Yeah.
compete. They've been doing this for a long, long time. But like you said, it comes to show you right here that, you know what? If they did it, we got to start from somewhere. And if we're on this where we're like number six, they're number 20, which I mean
Yeah.
it's not a competition, but it tells you that your music is worth listening to, and it can be in the mix, not compare. It can be in the mix of other known artists. And I found that was great.
Absolutely.
It was great.
Absolutely. Because when I found out that Spotify was doing this thing where they can give out plays to DJs. I was like, oh man, cool. I could
Yeah.
just put some songs together, go from there. And then once I send those songs out, I email to different people and text and stuff. Then I get the word back, like, okay, cool. Because back then when it first started out, I used to have to write stuff down. I say, thank God I don't have to write the numbers down no more. I could just get it from what it's telling me.
Yeah.
Then I could just go from there and stuff. And that's, playlist. If you don't realize, Spotify is connected to Billboard because Billboard is the mothership. It's like you got the tree, you got the Spotify on one branch, you got the Apple Music on one branch, you got SoundCloud and everything else and
Right.
stuff. So, and it shows you that media base, your media base with different genres, everything counts and stuff. It's just that some people they stuck. Like, and I had one guy last year. I had to take him off my friend list, and keep in mind, he was only Facebook friends for 2 days. He had there to say, he said, did you make those numbers up? They put it together. And I said, dude, when last time you had a haircut, brother? After that, got about the way, So, what I look like standing, what I look like being at home all day making up stuff. It
Making
doesn't
up
work like
numbers,
that.
right? You can't. I
Nah,
mean, and one thing about that organic aspect that I like is that I want people, real listeners, listening to my music. I don't want bots or whoever, whatever. And don't get me wrong, that's each and everybody's own opinion. But I want it to be organic, and I want to know, like when I lay my head down and you tell me, Serenity hit number 3 or 4. I feel good that people are actually listening. Like listening to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, And that's why I always show numbers to let people know this is organic. This is where it's at. I mean, to get million streams, you got to pay a lot of money. Your whole entire account is gone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's a hustle because to even do that. But I wanted to let people know that independency. This is where it's at. Like a prime example, by the time the end of August get here, then I will see like the total numbers. Like what I did a while back, like when I posted your music along with oh god, it was a group called Shades, and it was other people in between. I'm like, wow, but they averaging 200 or 300 plus streams, that whole total of it. So here it is,
Oh,
you get like
wow.
30, 40, 20, 80 a day, whoever likes the most, it all accumulates together.
Oh, wow.
And it's dope. I thought to myself, like, it's one thing to get on my behalf. I don't know what they get on theirs, but on my behalf, it shows, was that,
Oh,
and
wow.
because my thing is make sure that they can see the difference to where they was at before they knew me and then where they at now. So,
Yeah.
it just, it's that. And, and thank God I got the ear for music because I never forget my music teacher. And I don't know if he's still like it. He was a much older guy. And he always said that, pay attention to how artists sound.
Yeah.
Pay attention to they sound all key.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, can he flow with the instrumental and stuff that you see how far they go and stuff. I'm like, wow, that makes sense. So I could tell, like, okay, Tracy Napoleon, she goes by Naya. Big shout out to Eugene, her husband. And I told myself, brother, you got a monster hit on your hands. I know it's gonna be number one hit, but I know it's gonna take off. And when that song came out, we all started the pandemic. For 24 weeks, I never had a song with them one that long.
Oh, wow.
And time I say the world, and I said, "Good Lord, man, that's a monster hit." And that's what I do. I say, "Yeah, you cooking." But for me, when it comes to award artists, listen to anybody that's a recording artist. Forget those votes. Whatever I saw from you, I'm award you because I hate when somebody. It's like you can have 5 number 1 hits, but somehow the person that won an award over you, that doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to make sure you all acknowledge,
It's
and that's
amazing.
my thing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing. And so when you look at I'm just using mine. I'm not going to use anybody else's because I'm not going to speak on their behalf. But when you look at my singles and things like that, and when it's going through there, it's kind of like it's like, well, wow, it's there. Like it's 55,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, it's crazy
Yeah.
kind of to view it and see it. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. You have a unique music though, because I'm gonna tell you, it's like your sound is needed because it reminds me so much. I said, man, and this would have came out, this was the 90s. I can only imagine what I would have went at on the 80s. So yeah, it
Oh,
sounds like it blends in for its purpose.
oh,
And
thank
for you
you.
to bring that back with like it's like how can I put like the it's like the new school sound it's paying homage to the old. It's like a splash of it, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
wow.
Yeah, so that's what I like about your music stuff. For it to stay in the top 10 like it did, that's saying something.
Oh,
You know?
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I
And
didn't
you
I,
know,
and I didn't expect for Legends of Serenity, that's the one that's like the more of contemporary. It's not like
yeah,
it's not like I know it's not a jazz, of my genre of what I want to do with it, but I had it more of a little twang of a R&B, and almost I wanted to put like don't get me
yeah,
wrong now, a little country mix in it, but it's alternative. And I wanted a
right,
different sound for it. And Rashad, when I was thinking, and you were talking not too long ago, I was thinking like, I like this. In my mind, I like it, right? And then I'm
right.
thinking, God, if I put that out there, is that gonna really like mix with my R&B smooth
Yeah,
jazz kind of genre? And and it was like actually like doing better than my It Was You. And I was like, and I love It Was You and Serenity.
yeah,
Serenity is my number one because it's a dedication. But for the Legends of Serenity, I was like, oh, wow. It was
yeah,
different.
yeah. Because some songs, it's weird how they go sometimes. You can have two songs are damn good, and it's like what's on the chart, they compete with each other. It's like
Yeah,
one
yes.
new song comes up, other song be like, all right, get out the way, my turn, you
That's
know.
what mine's doing. That's what it's doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
one minute you might have one cover song, it comes right back. Other song that just do, it'll go back down, it goes back up, and it's like a tug of war. It's like two kids fighting over a toy. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and it's the truth. And,
Yeah,
and I was like, and the cover song, I did a cover song of my Kenny G and Shantae Moore. And it's only like
yeah,
30 seconds, but I'm gonna, send it your way because I really want to see what it does. I want to
yeah,
see, what it
yeah.
does.
That's what I like about, you pay homage to Kenny G because
Oh
you
yeah.
know what? I've been in this for 29 years. You're the only one who actually pay homage to him. And I don't fit some people that like these front runners and stuff. They don't. They just sort of make themselves look good for people to click into what they're doing.
Right.
And I know he appreciates that, and stuff. I only had to be in a room to even witness, you know what I'm saying? And stuff. And that's what I like about that because I was like, wow, because one thing I love about jazz, because like when I was a kid, my mama she didn't put me on to jazz. When I saw George Benson's video,
Oh, George
uh
Benson.
Born and Breeze, yeah, and I got hooked
Yeah.
on to it. I was 5 years old. Actually, no, it just went from there. I would listen to all his stuff, then Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
Now, as an older age, I love him more now than I did as a kid.
Me too.
And,
Me too.
yeah,
Yeah, my aspect of Kenny is though, he's my heart and soul. So, like you'll
yeah,
probably see a lot of more cover songs coming from him anyway, because that's what it is. But, at the same
yeah,
time, they don't, and I want to bring some of that freshness with some of his legendary work and bring it, back up, back in. Not that he's
yeah,
not legendary and it's not going anywhere. He's phenomenal.
right,
But I want to bring out more because,
yeah,
it's something that needs to be heard.
yeah, yeah.
Back, not that
And,
it needs to be heard, it's out there, but to bring
yeah.
it back into a whole nother contemporary mix.
And correct me on this: is he in a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? He should be.
No, he's on the Walk of Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, all the body work this brother put this, he was a
Yes.
kid. I'm like, what is going on, man? I don't
75
get it.
million. So they've been saying this 75 million forever. And I know if they
Yeah.
do, the track work for when they actually said it 900 years ago to now, I'm pretty sure it's way more than that. So I wish they would, like you said, give him more accolades of actually who he is now,
Yeah.
because when you talk about, all the other, instrumentalists out there, he's just a flipping legend to still do what he's doing today. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Because
Mhm.
I tell you though, like if I, like had like the funds, I was like, if I made a compilation album, like it'd be like 15, 20 songs. I gotta have Kenny G. I need that sound. I need that jazz sound, a mixture of R&B, what I'm saying, in one and the list goes on with other people and stuff. He's definitely an icon. I mean, he does surpass the legendary stats back in the 90s. He's in the icon
He's
royalty.
all in
My
the field of his own, and that's why I'm going to actually do the cover songs and bring it back out, as a person and as him as a artist because he
yeah,
is phenomenal, and I think bringing that back up,
yeah,
out. I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm doing it because, of course,
Well,
Yeah,
I think
that's what
it's
I want.
awesome for artists like yourself to go shows like that because it's what they beat a fan. Because you might be like, okay, I know I did this. I'm looking for that sound. I need it so
Yep,
bad that I
yep,
want to correct that I can just go for there. Because one thing about music is like you could be, so like you could be on your lunch break, you could be,
yep.
eating, and then a sound is coming in. Like, oh my God, like let me write this down. I don't want to forget. I go home and do whatever I got to do and stuff,
Yeah.
because music is motivation. That's what
It,
set
you
it.
know,
So,
it is. And, I go to his shows for actually as a supporter, more than listening to his sounds because I listen to him anyway. But
yeah,
at the same time, when you sit there and you listen to it, more of like what you're saying,
yeah.
it's a whole different like emotional, like I don't even know how to describe it, like feeling that you feel because each show, I go to all of them. Each show is
Yeah.
different. Like his sounds are people may think when they hear it on the, album, oh, it's the same. But when he plays it live, it's like
Oh,
totally
different
different. It
ball.
could be a tune, a melody, and you don't get, not that he's playing things, differently, but it's just the effect of how he brings it out in himself. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's abnormal. I call him supernatural because he's
Because
supernatural.
people don't realize because like if you travel, you doing something like a 30 city show
Yeah,
here in America, DC, Atlanta, New York, and Philly, you play it one way. California is like you play like a different type of sound.
yeah,
So every state, once you absorb all that, like, okay, I got to be different on certain states. I got to bring high energy here. I can do less over here because this is
here,
how they are.
right,
Once you figure out your audience, then it's go for there. It's like, for me, it was like when I add your song, even before I knew you, I was like, okay, I'm gonna add R&B, jazz, neo soul, alternative R&B, contemporary R&B, quiet storm, stuff like that. I got to study my audience. So my audience view is like between like 37 up to like 69 or
yeah.
70. Once you get the down pack, then it goes from there. Then
Oh wow,
you gotta be conscious of what to add on your playlist. You just don't want to put on anything. So that's
right,
the honest God truth. And I'm glad people definitely engage. Because I'm gonna tell you though, every November, well, every end of November, sometimes December, the Spotify rap, I'm always curious. I'm like, man, like who's gonna be number one? Who's gonna be the top 30?
yeah,
And I'm looking forward to that than anything. Well, between the monthly raps and the actual
it's,
Spotify rap, I'm looking forward
wow,
to. This year is gonna be more different because your music and a handful of people, it's gonna be tricky. I'm like, oh my God, who's gonna climb the top five spot? Who's gonna be that
oh
top dog?
wow,
Of it. So I'm kind of curious. Last year, I was kind of disappointed because some of the music, I was like, now some of the songs could be bigger than the other, but I get it with some fans. It takes effort for them to really grow to it, and I get
yeah,
it. But this year, yeah, I don't want to say the names though, but the ones who start hard the first half of the year, yeah, look like they're gonna be they already in that mix. But sometimes they kind of shift change.
the
We'll
ship,
see.
yeah, they do ship, yeah,
Yeah, I know you're in the mix of it,
oh
along with
wow,
a handful of women. But it's so funny because Nia was the only female I actually supported as an independent artist back in 2018.
yeah,
And I was like, why can't we get more women? It's got all these guys and stuff like that. And then years later, here come you, here come Reefy Scott, here come so many others.
oh,
I'm
I
like,
love
okay, now
her,
we got a balance. Now we got
yeah,
balance. This ain't no who's better than who, far as gender wise.
right,
And women can't hang, along with the man. So,
right,
and that was my thing about it. I'm happy though because it shows that not just male independent artists they can do their thing, but women can do the same thing too. But regardless of the concept of the song, but just the whole bulkness of it, it's a whole lot. Because one thing
it's,
about being an artist, yourself, you gotta have beat. Your music gotta be thickness to where people
yeah,
like, dang man, I gotta. It's like eating your favorite meal. Once you at a restaurant, you want another round for the buffet. You know what I'm saying? Or you get a go-to order like, hey, yes, give me a number five, and I'll give me a number three, and can I get like some tea? Thank you,
give
I
me a
appreciate
prime rib instead of the,
it.
yeah, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
so you know what you want every time you come there. So
yeah,
yeah, that's what it's all about because music holds weight when it stays on your mind. Like I know I said it so many times on this one song. The system, don't disturb his groove. And the words to this day still impactful. To tell a woman how you feel, to say, pay attention, are you listening? You're my favorite girl.
Yeah.
Excuse me for the moment. I made a loss of words. And that'll make a woman with common sense to feel good. I don't know what to say. And what you want to do? Talk about, oh yeah, I'd love to see you twerk, clap that ass. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? Should I be like that? So,
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah,
women appreciate that. And it's sad though, because you can't, if you have a okay, for example, if you get a demographic of ages, you give if you give an 18 through, let's say 13 years old, they want to hear ratchet music. Half of them do.
yeah,
And that's sad. If you have a place of old school music, be like, man, what the hell is this, man? Oh, man, hell no, man. Now, if
right,
you give a 35 and over, the opinions will change.
right.
Now, you might have a sprinkle of kids be like, oh, man, I love this, man. I love this sound. And big shouts to the parents that turn the kids on to old school music because,
Yeah,
regardless if they like it or not, they'll appreciate it. But like, you know what? They got my mom and dad hooked me up to this. Now, us coming up, it was like, we had our Soul Train, we had our Breaking Bad, say we had a Solid Gold Club into all the shows because we was tuned in to see, oh my God, who's going to be on
I
next.
know, right? I love those shows
And
back
that's what I
then.
love about that. We
Yeah.
didn't care about the race. We just wanted to hear the music, because it sounded good. It's like with me, I was all about, of course, R&B. I was all about pop. I love some rock in between,
Yeah,
and I definitely love jazz,
yeah,
some because I was always conscious of who was going to be next,
right.
on the show. So that's where it's at, and everything.
And it's amazing. It is. I like some country too, and they can hang. They hang in there. I love some of theirs too. Do you? So do you do? So you have R&B, pop, soul, neo. Do you have? Do you have? I don't think I've seen any country.
Now
Um,
I stay out the way of that. I leave it to country and stuff.
okay.
So I stay away from out of it. The only reason why is so that way it won't lead to confusion. Because once put a title out there, then you can only go so far with
Exactly.
certain genres. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's my limit, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But it's one thing if it was like a country R&B, yeah, you can slide that in. If it's too country, you're like, nah,
Yeah. You can't. Yeah. You can't do it.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's all true.
All right.
You know.
So my last question for you. So in the midst of all of this and you inspiring us, so what's tell us what's next on your future goals here. What you got up in the making besides
Let me
your
say
actual
that.
show?
Yeah, so the R&B talk show will be on the Fifth Sun television. This weekend I will be filming the debut pilot and stuff, and I can't wait to break the
Oh,
noise,
I can't wait.
because I know a lot of people that have been supporting me for years. I can't wait for the fans to see it. So, for that show, I feel like it's needed because here it is, everywhere you go with, people got nothing to look forward to. So I want everybody to get a chance to watch the show. Of course, with Roku, you got to download the app or whatever it is, and
Okay.
saying you're looking at. So Fierce Up Television is an all-black network that has boxing, as far as sports. They have like different type of shows on there and
Okay.
everything. Well, really though, it's for really all race, not just for one, but far as it's more focused on the black and brown, you can say. And big shouts to Miss V Vintage for hooking me up with that. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate her because
It's
that's why I
amazing.
was so much out of rush for that. So yeah, so once I filmed it this weekend, it should air, I say by like the end of August or September, be on the lookout for it,
Okay. End
on
of
the air
August,
day.
beginning of
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, I say like early September, yeah.
Okay.
Once I film this pilot, I say probably like around that time, then I'm gonna give out the air day. Of course, I'm gonna be throwing it in people's faces. I got to do a photo shoot this Friday, so I can't wait to get that jump in and get everything to get in my mode. But yeah, I can't wait. So be on the lookout for it, y'all. I will give out of course the time, but also the date. So yeah, the R&B
Okay.
talks is gonna be everywhere. People keep talking about we need music. Hey, listen, don't look no further. I'm right here. So that's what it's all
Absolutely.
about.
I mean, and it's amazing. And where else can the viewers find you at besides, I know you're on YouTube, but what other platforms are you on?
Yes, you can follow the R&B Talk Show right on Instagram, Facebook. You also on TikTok as well. So I'm
Okay.
on there a lot. Yeah, I'm also on fan base. as well. So that's Isaac Hayes' son who created that not too long ago and everything. Yeah, so I'm pretty much everywhere. Like if you type in the R&B talk show, I'm everywhere on Google. So I'm not
Okay.
hard to search.
Oh wow. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just been a whole different ball. It's just been a whole different ball
Yeah,
game for me. It's exciting and like the content you put out is amazing. I mean, even
thank
just
you. I
seeing
appreciate that.
the older, like example, Tevin Campbell and all of them, the older type music is just phenomenal. And the time that you're putting into, actually, bringing that, continue to bring it back,
Yeah,
and just, for older viewers, new baby boomers, even if they like rap, like I
yeah,
said, there's a younger kid that never liked jazz before, come to a jazz show and they're dancing in the aisles, they love it. So you just never
yeah,
know. And what you're putting out there is amazing. So I definitely appreciate you, and I know everyone else does. For just giving us that platform to be able to do that. I mean, it's amazing. I haven't
yeah. I
seen it.
appreciate
I
that.
haven't seen it, and I've been around for some time, and it's just phenomenal. So I definitely salute you for that. For
I
bringing
appreciate
it
that.
to us. All right,
I
thank you so
appreciate
much
that.
for actually being on my show, and hopefully we can do a part two because man, this is
Yeah,
it's.
let's do that again.
Yeah, it's inspiring, and I appreciate you for being here. And then I will, of course, send you the clip from the Instagram and the actual where I put it on the other platform, so you can have it on your for your platform as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time for me to come on here because I haven't been interviewed since. Oh God, that was October last year.
What?
So yeah, it's been a minute, But with some people they got egos and everything, and everybody wants
Yeah.
to be better than everybody. It's not like that, what I'm
No,
saying?
we're all here for one another. And the thing about it is that it's still at the end, it doesn't get you anywhere. My ultimate goal is, this is a platform that I love because, I have different backgrounds. So it allows the viewers and people, whether it's music, medical, behavioral health, exercise, it's all the part of just, putting out the content of what people want to see and what they want to hear and what's going to benefit them. So that's why I love doing what I do.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
phenomenal.
You keep doing what you're doing though, because I know doors are open for you, and I can see a lot of great things happening for you.
Oh, thank you so
Especially in the
much.
near future.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show, and I will get this to you. And of course, I'll be following you on the platforms and things like that. But I will
Yeah.
talk to you as soon as possible. And congratulations on that new show. That's going to be phenomenal. Make sure you spin it because I want to make sure I don't miss it.
Oh yeah, because I'm gonna run through the end of 2025 onto 2026 like a tornado spin. So be on the lookout for that.
Make sure you get it out there and all the other phenomenal stuff that you're doing. You keep doing what you're doing. It's inspiring. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you for being on my show, and I'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
Thank you. Bye.